So obviously this year has been a massive amount of supply, another year, huge supply in the covered bond market. Because of the ECB pulling out, how much more do you think the market can take without some significant spread widening?
Yeah, it's a great question. Look, we've ultimately have seen, as you say, a phenomenal amount of supply year to date. We don't have too much more to go. I think if we look at it in the context of where we've come from, but clearly one of the big questions that we've got in mind is how the market now reacts to the impact of the ECB. This coming Thursday, we have a pretty critical decision, but I think it's also worth considering where we've come from. Since June of last year, the ECB's delivered 425 basis points of hikes and 9 consecutive meetings. The question is, do they go for a 10th? Now, in terms of that spread widening question, the answer to that, I think, lies in the market's comfort with where the ECB is, where they ultimately hit their trajectory, and then start to clarify the fact that they will be on hold, and that then the market can start to consider a move out from that. Until the market believes that we have reached that point and has a strong understanding of the speed and trajectory of quantitative tightening, so that it's not necessarily accelerated, we're not going to get a disinversion of the swap curve, and then ultimately we're going to have a little more bumps in the road and certainly some additional spread widening. That's certainly our view. We're looking at around 5 basis points additional spread widening across jurisdictions between now and the end of 2023.
You mentioned there the inverted swap curve. That's clearly very important in covered bonds where asset and liability durations have got to try to match. Is it starting to cause a problem that so many issuers can only issue 3- and 5-year bonds at the moment?
Yeah, it's clearly the sweet spot for a lot of understandable reasons, pricing being one of them. The level of interest rate risk that was evident in that move in the swap curve, again, we're sort of starting to get to a point where I think the market will become more comfortable with where that is at. But in terms of that asset liability mismatch, well, you can sort of look at it from 2 angles. One is that you sort of see issuers and investors, they are able to hedge their portfolios, hedge their activities. So some are less sensitive than others, but certainly from the perspective that we have had a flood of front-end issuance this year and last year, we do get to the point where the market does need to move beyond that. 7s move out to 10 and beyond, but we're not there yet.
What are the conditions for the yield curve to normalise? Can't ask you when it's going to be, but what conditions have to be in place for a positive sloping yield curve?
Yeah, I think so. Well, point one is that there needs to be clarity on the ECB having hit its peak in terms of this cycle. The second point there will be in terms of the market's view on quantitative tightening. We've seen a lot of policy members starting to talk about the possibility of an acceleration in quantitative tightening, not only in terms of the APP, but also, and perhaps more worryingly, for the PEP. So bringing the PEP reinvestments to a closure before the end of 2024. So we need clarity that that is not going to happen. And then ultimately we need some much stronger clarity on the trajectory of the economy. That's a big concern at the moment. That's something that the ECB will be discussing at this very juncture this week in Frankfurt. And as the economy slows, particularly if you sort of see core economies such as Germany, PMIs in Germany, both on the manufacturing and the services side slowing, they are kind of critical warning signals. Until we have an understanding that the economy's okay, that policy has hit its mark, and that QT is not going to sort of upset the apple cart, we will not see a normalization in the curve.